in the Sierra Range, and we used to
Oh
visit
wow.
those. Yeah, I was thinking about it in connection with 17 and 1800s dentistry. What it must have been like to go into a dental office in a ghost town, like an old Western town, Virginia City or
Yep.
Bodie or some of the old gold mining towns. Uh, I think south of you guys, maybe, I don't know, 2 hours is the old Bodie ghost town. Have you ever heard
Yeah.
of that one or been through that one?
I don't think so. You should come up and so we can hook up and do some of that stuff. That'd be good.
That'd
And
be
then maybe
awesome.
even talk about it. Virginia City. I think that
Yeah,
Virginia City. That's where Hearst had his silver mines and all that stuff, right?
yeah, yeah.
William Randolph Hearst's father. So yeah, it's that's very all that's very. I've been to Virginia City. It's
Right.
spectacular and it's fun.
Is
It's
it?
great place to eat there and so forth. But yeah, I'd like to go see some of those. I've been by some of those, but never explored them.
Yeah.
So that would be cool to check some of those out.
Very fascinating. Bodie is like at one time, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I'm thinking 80,000, but I'm thinking I heard like 200,000 at its
Mhm.
height of gold. Just incredible. And apparently they had the history says they had like 3 or 4 gunfights in town every day. Just crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Pull out your 6 gun and go shooting people. Like,
Yeah, that's the way you
you know,
settle things back then. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like Gunsmoke or Bonanza, literally.
Yep.
But very fascinating to walk through. It's preserved as best they can. It's really
Yeah.
neat. Yeah, we'll have to hook up and do that. That'd be great.
Yeah. That show Bonanza was great. It was filmed in this area. They used to have
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know if they still have them. Unfortunately, I never went because I love Bonanza. They
right.
used to have the Bonanza home. You could do tours, and it
Right.
was like up around here somewhere. So
Real close to you guys.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, very close.
I
Yeah,
don't.
when they had the Bonanza show, they would have a view of Lake Tahoe. Yeah,
Right.
it's pretty
I've
cool.
been there a couple times, and
You went there?
before, yeah,
Wow, how was it?
fascinating, very
Very cool.
beautiful. It was like they had an entire movie set town right there,
Yeah.
church. So they did some of their shooting right there, and I think they
Hmm.
did a lot of the shooting right in the house. But beautiful view of the lake and many acres of you know houses for the movie set. But they were legit. They were houses. It wasn't like just a front. They were houses, chapels, and saloon, and just incredible. Yeah.
Yep.
And I guess some billionaire bought it um,
Hmm.
maybe 20, 25 years ago. Private now.
Oh, bummer. Yep.
Yeah, bummer.
Dun 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 dun. Dun dun
I
dun
used to
dun
love that
dun
one as a
dun
kid.
dun dun dun.
That's part of my I wanted to be a cowboy, then then I want to be SEAL kind of thing. But
Yeah, cool guy stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
So yeah, I'd like to be a cowboy too. Who wouldn't?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because when
There's
we
something
played
like
Cowboys and Indians, I played both sides. I like the Indians too. So
yeah, yeah. There's something nostalgic, especially for us cowboy kids, about that time in history.
yeah,
Although although when I think about it in terms of dentistry, the barber was the bleeder. He was also the dentist, so he would just give you whiskey and yank a tooth, or however they did it.
yeah.
Fascinating.
You know
Very
what's fascinating about your work? You're going into that, and that could be something we could use to do. Maybe do the show, go to these ghost towns, and bring some of that in. Of course, some other stuff like we're talking about. It's a culture, a
right.
culture that's I don't think it's died out. I think it's something that probably could come back and help America overcome all of the challenges that are facing it right now. But um, the teeth, you've talked very much about the teeth, and I know you've helped a lot of people, and I know you're going to do a show. Our next show is you're going to focus on the teeth and how there's so much infection that comes and is hidden because even today, normal dentistry doesn't find, uh, you know, horrible infections that are like lurking underneath our teeth. We
Right.
think we're hunky dory. Their teeth look good. Go to the
Yes.
dentist. The dentist does X-rays. no problems, but lurking underneath that, there's severe problems, and people are literally dying from it because infection of the teeth, goes to the heart, and boom, you're gone.
Yeah. I think it's probably the number one cofactor in every sort of modern disease diagnostics today, at least in my clinical experience, which is 25 years and hundreds of patients. I could literally sit here and talk to you all day, story after story, success after success about intervention in the mouth. Now, when I say interventions, so we do tremendous work with just nutrients out of the store with these bodily infections, but clinically speaking, or in a health recovery status situation where people are just struggling with levels of health from 4-stage cancer all the way up to just something's not quite right, or I can't quite get this tuning quite right, that we can't get into an infected tooth with our nutrition. It's like a dead zone inside of a root canal or a little fracture or under a crown. I wish we could, but we just don't have the nutritional technology to do that. So, but it's beautiful because now we have mechanism that we'll be really sharing in detail, like next week, hopefully, that we have technology now with the biophotonics, the quantum forensics that we have. We can just isolate a tooth and present charts and help you and the dentist develop protocols in a hierarchy way, where pick on the worst tooth, the second worst, and so on and so forth. And so we've just seen, like just a couple of days ago, we had a listener who went through the entire protocol and got the intervention, and she just, with tears streaming down her face, she's like, man, I'm like a brand new woman. And it's like this it's like, I call it the black hole where nobody sees it. Her dentist never saw it. As a matter of fact, a lot of times a dentist will say, no, that tooth is fine. That guy must be crazy. And once they intervene and maybe open the crown or get into the tooth, it's always biofilm, pus, always, sometimes black mold, frequently fungal candida. And this is like in these biofilms, Michael, that every living organism that hates you, not you, so to speak, but like that will kill us, not just the biofilm, but like parasites, fungus, candida, everything gets into the biofilm and then can hide. And it's very fascinating. So maybe after we talk about Navarro, we can get into that a little bit further, because I want to update everybody on, what about Bob from last week, and we got to see him again, and just really cool stuff. So
before we jump off on that, there was somebody in here that talked about she has dentures, and she had obviously had some problems. She's much better now, she says. But if you have dentures, is there still possibility of having an infection in those root canals?
Yeah, that's a great question, and you may never know it. But it's a biofilm can't be eradicated. A lot of times a dentist might see it, so he does an extraction. In the case of dentures, all your teeth are extracted. And so he does an extraction, and if he can see it visually, they'll try to remove it, scrape it out, or put a laser to it or something and get it out of the bone. But once it heals, if there's biofilm left in there, which there usually is, then you can just run over to the store and use some of the nutrients there, like the Infectostat and the Cardio NF. And just over time, you'll be able to remove it out of your bone yourself. But that's a great question. Yes, most of the time, because with dentures being involved, there's always been severe decay, or at least most of the time severe decay to where the teeth are no longer just practical, functional, falling apart or infected. Once in a while it might be a trauma, but most of the time it's because of infections that not only might stay in the bone, but here's what like medicine completely misses, And as we progress through this, you'll see why it's the black hole and probably causing almost, according to some specialists like Shaler and I think his name was Glowacki, he says 99% of all infections today are bacteria that come in and out of the biofilm. So they come out and you get a little sick, you get symptoms like a UTI or whatever the symptom is, you get a cough. So you go on antibiotics and then they hide out for a little while, then they come back. They can't get rid of them. And this is why it's so lethal, and part of the reason why we're seeing this super spike in death rates and cancer, because we had all this pre-existing condition that no one ever saw. And now we have an opportunity to be able to see it and to help people like on a one-on-one basis with what's coming. So yeah, that's a great question. Dentures, every tooth that has a cavity. And we can talk about the progression. So as a little kid, I grew up, and then immediately, probably by the age of 8 already, I had all 8 molars with what we call silver filling. So that means there was decay, cavitations, and that decay and cavitations already is bacterial biofilm that's not just in the teeth now, it's in your prostate, in your heart, in your lung, wherever it wants to go. And the lowest, now I'm connecting it to the energetic biophotonic field, the lowest energy status of the body. That's where the infection tends to migrate to, because where there's low biophotonic activity, there's always going to be low biology, chemistry, physiology. The function of the body is going to be less. And I'll always go back to this because we're about raising coherent energy in the body. So I'll always go back to the life wave and, of course, other stuff, because it raises coherence. Yeah. And that's ultimately what we're about, is raising coherence to the biofield. Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. And there's one of the specials, maybe we can talk about the specials today, is seems like it might focus on some of that vaccine and toxin removal, body detox kit.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, we'll jump to that. So we kind of went off on a tangent there. Let's go back to this Chinese defector that has revealed some information. So she just did a recent show with Danny Jones, YouTube show, and I was listening to a little piece of that. I saw another interview where she was talking about this. Let me play just a little piece of that, and then we'll jump into your analysis of what's going on here. So this is Danny Jones, great interviewer. If you haven't watched some of his stuff, I highly recommend it. So he interviews her.
Making sense to on people after they enter school. I'm not sure when they typically do it. Like, do they do it at the beginning? Do they do it?
Well, supposedly when a kid is born, you need to register,
right,
with the local police bureau, so they get an ID, right? You get a household ID. Like here we have a social security number.
Right.
There you get an ID, so the kid is in the system, right? And then you get vaccinations, stuff like that. But the person should exist in the system. But birth certificates can be bought. Hospitals sell birth certificates for profit. Doctors sell them. You could get fake IDs.
Why would they do this? Why would people do
this? To buy real estate. Sometimes to get a fake, just to have a fake.
With there was a recent adjustment to the population of China, right? Because when the way I understand it is when the way the Chinese government does census on their population is when there's no birth certificates. So the way I understand it is when the doctor comes to first give a child his vaccination.
So they go on talking, there's like, they did a real big sting operation, I guess like 500,000, 500,000. Chinese police went out and started to, find out how many people are using fake IDs and all this kind of stuff. They found 300,000 fake, like they're not related to any one person, but they're on the rolls as being part of the Chinese. So the Chinese have 1.3 billion people, and they found 300,000 just in one sting operation of people that don't exist. And then she's going into this birth certificate stuff, like you were listening to, and a lot of other stuff. I'm still trying to unwind this. And then they talk about there's like 100 million children, because this is one of the ways they determine what the population is through a vaccination program. So the children come in and they're vaccinated, and they're like, okay, so we have this many children, and they overstated the number of children they had, and there's only 100 million children that are on this vaccination program.
Wow.
So it sounds like they may have kind of like what we have, like a little over 300 million people. So that's where this 1 billion people in China have basically, it looks like they're disappearing. It's like, what is it?
Wow.
What's your take on this?
Well, I brought it up because I wanted to know your take on it, but my initial thought was just, okay, what, just kind of looking at it on the surface, not really knowing what's going on. Although I have seen like a couple of videos leaking out that look legit, where people that are videotaping they look to be in legitimate cities where there's just like a ghost town.
Yeah.
And they're saying, just 6 months ago that this was bustling, people everywhere. Now they're saying they're gone. So a couple of questions I had for you was, well, could that be, COVID related, or that vaccine program related, where they're killing people off on a worldwide scale? Because I know China has bought in the sort of the deep state vaccination program, probably got paid to do it. And then, but another question I had, and I wanted your thoughts on it, was, would there be a percentage of those people that kind of went missing that have actually come across our borders and maybe are part of the sleeper cell network? I just don't know, but that's the first thing that came over me, and just wondering what you thought about that.
Yeah, this is real deep and complicated on the Chinese side. The military is like the Communist Chinese Party doesn't really have power, and it's almost like they don't exist. And the military has a lot of power.
Okay.
And Xi Jinping is being pushed out.
Okay.
So there's 500 families that are pretty much controlling all of the economy in China, and they're descended from royalty. So they still have that, the Chinese, emperor type thing going on there in China.
Yeah.
So the Communist Party is pretty much defunct, from what I understand, and the Chinese are basically slowly taking over Taiwan, and that's that Sun Tzu thing you were talking about, where the greatest art of war is to overcome and take over your enemy without conflict, without kinetic activity.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's what they've done a really good job of that here in America, because the Democrat Party and some in the Republican Party as well, throughout everything, whether it's Congress, Senate, president, like we have with Biden, basically controlled by Communist Party, or the Chinese. You can't really say the Communist Party, but the Chinese. And you look at Georgia, same thing. Both the Raffensperger, or whatever his name is, and the governor of Georgia, both Chinese money came in to put them in power. We've seen that in California, where you're at, with Gavin Newsom, probably Dianne Feinstein, who recently just passed away. She was controlled for decades by the Chinese. So it's real complicated. How deep, and how you brought up Sun Tzu, and it's Sun Tzu. So the Chinese, I had Leo Zagami on, and he talked about how the Jesuits basically infiltrated the Chinese and took them over. I was like, what? It's like there's so it's real complicated.
Very, very.
Yeah. Bill Clinton's Sherry DeBell. She's saying Bill Clinton probably definitely controlled by the Chinese. It was during his administration where they gave away secrets, nuclear secrets to the Chinese for money so that they could stay in power. So there's a lot of, it's real complicated.
There must have been under the Clintons, especially, and of course the Obamas and stuff. But under the Clintons, I noticed that after the Clintons they've always been sort of in the back of everything in that power place. But the entire Chinese military structure that you see, like their aircraft and their submarines, everything just looked like American after the Clintons left office. So the shift or the theft or giveaway of technology must have been unbelievable.
Yeah. So someone was asking, well, why haven't the Clintons been arrested? That's complicated too. So there is, obviously a movement to do that, but you're going to create kinetic activity in this war that we have against the deep state right now. And that's what we're seeing with the weather warfare that's happening on a massive scale. I'll talk about that in my next show coming up at 5. But the amount of weather warfare that's going on right now across our country is over the top. It's not just in Texas. It's also in New Mexico. It's also in multiple other states, all the way up to Illinois, Kentucky, flooding on a level that hasn't been seen in history. So and you can look back in time to Tartaria and the mud floods, and we see that there's been times where they just take out civilizations. They get unruly, and they want to maintain the control. So it's complicated.
So that brings up another question for me, because I've seen some videos really the last 3 years, videos coming out of China showing like floods that might dwarf what we're seeing in Texas and stuff.
Tartaria. Yeah. Again.
Okay. Yeah. Unbelievable. So are they, who's doing that? Where's that coming from? Is that a God thing, or is that like man-made?
The fallen angels. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
That's what Tracy clues me up on that really good.
Yeah.
So I have to give her a lot of credit on that.
Right.
So the fallen angels who are now basically in positions of power.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I'd like to play this 1-minute clip of Navarro who talks about this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So let me present this real quick. And this time I'm going to turn on my sound.
There's a place where you turn on your sound. Where is that?
Yeah, it's right on the little screen that pops up. It says entire screen, and then I click on it. Then there's a little button underneath that says also share your system audio, and then I turn that on. So FYI for anybody else, because I didn't know that.
I've been having issues with that. So I looked for that and I couldn't find it. So I'll maybe after the show we can do a quick you can teach me. So maybe.
Okay, so here it comes, and I'm going to share Navarro. And I think I'll enlarge this so everybody can see it. Man, let me sounds up. Okay, here it comes.
This is so serious an issue. The Art of War, a book, Sun Tzu, centuries old, says that the acme of warfare is to win without firing a shot. You fast forward to a book that was written by 2 high-ranking military officials in China called Unrestricted Warfare. And you understand that we are indeed in a new world where kinetic warfare is not the first choice of our rivals anymore. Rather, it is things like sending us seeds or trying to steal our seeds or trying to change the seeds. It is acquiring our supply chain in agriculture. It's setting up spy shops on land next to military bases.
All right, I'll go ahead and come back to you.
No, that's pretty heavy duty. He's nailing it. That's good for him. You know, he spent time in prison. The deep state came after him, and he spent time in prison, and now he's back. You know, strong, revealing. So that's good. We need more of that. Of course, you know, you reveal and you go to prison. It kind of sucks, but you come back and you're like, okay, I'm coming back stronger now. That's Peter Navarro. So that's fantastic.
That's amazing. Yeah. A couple of things that I thought of from my perspective were, you know, you talked about seeds, and I have had the question like, so why are we getting our seeds out of China? And then, you know, why are we getting all like 98% of our pharmaceuticals out of China? Are you got to be kidding me? So this has to be part of the internal war that these deep state have brought. Their relationship with the globalist, which I think is probably, I consider the dragon to be China, essentially. This communist Satanist thing they're trying to invade America with. Drugs and the things that we need to stay healthy have become, I think, the leading cause of death in America is properly prescribed pharmaceuticals. And so in the long run, the concept of this store for its purpose isn't just to sell supplements, but it's actually to help overcome these health issues that people are having today.
Yeah.
So that's part of our being responsible. Not even though I'm so stoked to hear him talk about it, it's like phenomenal. But you know, we're talking about food being imported, supplements, drugs, and all that stuff coming in from China, and we have to stop. Or have them bring them in and they just go rotten because we're not using them anymore. So,
yeah. So we're talking about China. I saw a little glitch, and that's I was doing what's that not Twitter, but there's another social media, Instagram,
X.
No, not either one of those. There's one other one where you like do little shows and so forth and put it on. I can't think of it because I don't use it because I one time went on it and I was like, I'll build this as a channel because I'm getting, you know, pressured on YouTube and Facebook and so forth. So I went on there and talked about some stuff, and somewhere in there I said something about China. Of course, China owns that, I guess. And I got slammed. So I was like, okay, that's enough of that. I'm tired of being slammed. And China owns that, and China's going to control that. So no longer. But you know, you never know. We can, like, I'm on YouTube now. We're doing live on YouTube. I was like, I'll probably never go back on YouTube. You know, as just 6 months ago. TikTok, yeah, thank you, Stork. So Stork Deliveries said TikTok, good job. So Stork Deliveries, that's a good name. So you know, it was on TikTok, and I was starting to build that up, and then I got slammed, and I was like, God, is there any free speech anywhere? So it's you can't find it, I guess. We're doing it here. If I get out of line, they just demonetize me, but that's okay. Okay, you don't like that? Okay, whatever. You can't advertise on that one because we talked about some stuff, or I said something in the title you don't like. So there is a comeback that we're seeing, and you know, X, of course, Elon Musk bought that, and now we're seeing Elon Musk is super suspect now. So I don't know.
It's high espionage, isn't it? Like it almost seems like
all
we
about
all
the intel stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like we all live kind of in the CIA, where you just don't know who's going to stab you in the back from a political sort of governmental perspective. Mm-hmm. And I suppose we saw that even with the COVID outbreak, where you know our families want to kill us over the vaccine or the masks. But yeah, no, it's a stress time about that, and I'll keep going back to that, staying in the love vibration for everybody. As everything escalates, we have to escalate as well in that love vibration for one another.
Yeah. So I don't see a kinetic activity with China in our future. They're pretty much, puppeting us to a certain extent already. So why would they get kinetic with us? The only kinetic side would come from us to them, and Trump's not about that. So he's kind of the same thing. Let's create prosperity for everybody, and that ends all war. That's the kind of direction he's going. That's been the thing throughout time. If you could create prosperity for all, and then no one needs to go to war, and that's what pretty much wars are all about. Now I've seen other people that said wars are about money and women. I was like, and of course they use another term, but I'm like, I don't see that one, but maybe in some instances. So, what are your thoughts? What do you think? Are we going to go to war with China?
I think we are, personally. Yeah.
Do you? Okay.
I
And
do.
what does that war look like? I think we're already at war with them, but
yeah.
Sun Tzu type,
Right.
war. But you think it goes kinetic?
I do. I think Trump knows, and he's been at war for what 10 years now.
At least
He experienced it himself, but I do think he's at early stages of kinetic, just personally. I actually believe, like Ezekiel 38. So I'm going to sidetrack just for a sec, because sort of, where I grew up in the Christian community, and the prophets and a lot of the pastors and stuff are all teaching, get ready for the Gog Magog over in the land of Israel. And that's the discussion right now. And so the Gog Magog, if you go all the way back into like Noah's kids and grandkids, Gog and Magog are ancient China, and Meshech, Tubal are Russia. And it talks about where God says, I'm putting hooks in your jaws, and I'm going to drag you into my land where I'm going to destroy you here. And everybody, I think everybody's wrong, sort of in the Christian sort of prophecy place, because they're saying, no, China and Russia are going to, and all the Muslim nations are going to invade little Israel. And I contend, no, it's not. It's America. And when Trump, like a week ago, I saw him say, America is the greatest nation on earth, second to Israel. I'm saying, no, America is Israel. So we kind of got lost. You and I have talked about this in the past, where the migration of ancient Israelites went was not into some of them maybe went into.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, that just breaks all those barriers that people have with, so many people that are, that's brilliant. And I know we've talked about it, but I never heard you say it like that. And I just got it, that Israel and America are the same. It's not a difference.
Yeah.
Wow. And you've talked about how there's been some of the tribes actually came here to America and so forth. So that's just brilliant. Yeah. That's good.
Really, all of them came, and they sort of got chased to the farthest away land. That's what the prophets say. You're going to the farthest away land from ancient Middle East, Jerusalem, and that's America. But one of the cool things, and it's sort of like what you're talking about, it can be complicated. And even like, I love how you're being honest. Like, I'm still trying to wrestle this out, and even like with what's going on. And I say that about myself. Like, so when he says make America great again, I really think, whether he knows it or not, he's talking about those 12 tribes. And I'm not trying to be racist about it, but because that's who came here. That's what this land originally was for. It was for these 13 colonies were the 13 brothers of Jacob. And so they came here, and then of course we've slowly allowed this. So the scripture calls it, we've allowed Babylon to take over. So that's the mystery of the thing, is where the children, the wheat, live in Babylon among the tares, and the sifting is coming. I think what I think is the kinetic coming war is to get rid of Babylon, and the remnant that will be left will be the God's kids, and they're going to start over again and do it right. And so that's kind of how I see it. Thanks for letting me share that.
Oh yeah, that's very good. It's been a process. You focus on lots of different things, and and then the healing part, which is, I think, integral to all of it, going forward.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So you can't, fight the fallen angels, the deep state, if you don't have your health, and that's one of those Sun Tzu things they're doing to us. They're taking us out through that process. And then, of course, the Chinese buying up the farmland. There's a push now to basically refuse to sell farmland to Chinese now, and then the Chinese that have farmland take it away from them, because like we've seen, they're next to military bases and all kinds of crazy stuff. So we know that every communist country throughout time, whether it's Russia, whether it's China, Vietnam, I don't know if there's some other instances. I think that, Cambodia. There's many different communist, countries that have come, and they always, once they start to get power, they starve a portion of the people to death. So that would be a very big warning sign of the Chinese, buying farmland.
Yes. And you and I've talked about this before too. Like this seed line thing is like, we're essentially, as far as genetics go, we're all brothers. But the genetics, even, following the DNA pathways, it's the Canaanite Edomite brothers are the east primarily, and the Israelite brothers are the westernmost nations. Even in today's genetic DNA harvesting and testing, they know that they went back to the different sons of Noah, and which ones became Abrahamic and which ones said, F you to God.
Yeah. So let's go into some of the little shares that you have for Intuitive Wellness product highlights.
I'd like to share a little bit about Dr. Proton Therapy. And this was an amazing experience. We were seeing a lot of guys with prostate cancers and stuff, and they were already on the proton therapy, radiation list. And then they started canceling their appointments. So one day, this extremely well-dressed gentleman came in. He was like 6'3", groomed to the hilt, really looked like a super lawyer out of LA somewhere. And he comes in, he says, "Hey, I'm looking for Raphael." I'm like, "Hey, how can I help you?" He said, "Can I steal a few minutes of your time?" So I brought him in my office, sat down, and he said, I know about you, and I just have one question. I said, "Yeah, anything I can help." He said, what could you say to sum up prostate cancer? What do you see? He didn't know anything about the quantum forensics that we do and the testing and all that stuff. He just saw people that were on his list starting to leave, the medical sort of apparatus. And that's not what I'm trying to do, is steal their traffic, but just makes sense that if you have an infection, you don't need cancer therapy. So I said, I'll just tell it to you in one word. I said, infection. Call it whatever you want, whatever your scans call it. They're seeing infection in my book. And whatever your tests, whatever your scans, whatever your labs that you call the C word, I'm seeing infection. And he stood up and he was like excited. I thought, he slammed his hand down on my desk really hard. It was really loud. Just went boom. And he goes, "That's it. That explains." And he's finished by saying, "That explains why in 100% of the prostate cancer surgeries where we're removing prostates and surgically removing cancer, there's pus." He goes, "And none of the doctors could explain why. I'm asking, why is there pus there? There's no infection that's showing up on any of their tests.
Hmm.
And so that's my experience, and that's what we see. And like I said, last week, 97% of it is from something going on in the mouth that's slowly spreading through the whole body. And that's why even the NIH says over 80% of all infections. Now, when they talk about infections, they're talking about the kind that you need an antibiotic for. But 80%, the NIH says 80% of those are coming out of a biofilm. So the biofilm is something they can't see. And this is the black hole. And it's the place that's killing us and driving most of our chronic diseases, and especially the big super stuff that we're seeing.
Wow. You would probably this number one special that you have, or that we have this month, directly, goes after the problem, the prostate problem. So a lot of men that have their prostate or are about to have their prostate removed could possibly overcome that and not get their prostate removed. Because once you get that prostate removed, then my understanding, and I don't know, so but fortunately, but once a prostate's removed, you no longer get erections. Is that the case?
Oh yeah, all kinds of problems.
Oh wow.
I think maybe the first initial problem, you start seeing that, like
just saying that, I think men are going to like to fly to that number one special right now. So fortunately, I've been taking a lot of that stuff already, so that's good. I'm
sorry I hadn't brought that up in the past, but it's really huge. There's from what I see, biofilm in prostates. So it slowly, decreases circulation. It actually is what causes this vascular calcification we call arteriosclerotic. We call calcification or cholesterol buildup in your arterial or your penis vascular microcapillaries. It's all from bacterial biofilms to whatever degree you have it.
How about kidney stones? That same? Yeah. That would make sense. Yeah. So by using these products, wow, that's incredible.
The kidney stones could be other forms of acid, like your diet could be acidic.
Yeah.
But so frequently, it's what's driving everything. Blood pressure issues, kidney stones. It's amazing. So let me share my screen real quick because I want to show this quote. I think I've shared it before. I don't think I have to go share it again. Just want to share this. Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So this was the guy who discovered antibiotics. And this was his quote, like at his Nobel speech, or around the time where everyone was saying, oh, antibiotics are going to be so great. He said it would be the death of man. So I'm going to come back to you and sort of describe that a little bit if I can. So what he meant was that these bacteria will develop resistances. Now they call bacterial antibiotic resistance or superbugs. But what they didn't know, Michael, is that the bacteria didn't just develop genetic resistance. They actually formed colonies. There was no essential biofilm before antibiotics. They started forming colonies where they would utilize our sugars, our product that we're building, tendon and skin and our connective tissue, and they would just hide in them. And once they're in them, our immune system can't touch. Our immune system can just kind of keep it at bay at times, and it works. And then slowly over time, our immune system gets tired and fatigued, and then they start spreading and growing, and they detach and grow in a number of different ways. Sometimes they'll just send out infection, planktonic bacteria, where you get a bladder infection or a UTI or just that kind of typical infection that comes out of the biofilm. And so these are just notorious, and that's what Fleming talked about, that there's just no way. And he said within one generation, And that's me. That's us, you guys, because that's one generation about 70 years, and that was 1950. So here we are, 2020, and he said it would be the death of mankind. And of course, it gets worse because, like we just talked about, they're building this shit in China, and we see biofilm inside of the pharmaceuticals coming from China. That's how bad this is. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason for Michael's store, period, to help restore mankind in the long run with a simple line of superfoods, which will get expanded, in the near future, but just to be able to start. And so we just had an example this week where we got a call from his wife, and she's like, they just diagnosed him with prostate cancer, but they said his prostate cancer is now all through his body and he's got 6 months to live. I said, okay, well, let's set up an online scan, scanned his parts in his body and his prostate and stuff like that. And we ended up finding, this is going to blow your mind, you guys. About a year ago, he had a beautiful new implant. And the quantum forensics, through the oral scan, found that implant, that it was infected. The post was infected up in his bone. And so sent him off to his dentist. The dentist had to remove it. And he said when he removed it, and nobody else would have seen it, no oncologist would ever ask why. No doctor would ever ask why. He pulled the implant out, and he said it leaked pus for the rest of the day.
Wow.
Oh. So then, now he's on nutrients out of the store and slowly starting to improve. And in probably, 3-4 months, when it's all cleared out of his body and his bone, I'm sure they'll say, well, we must have misdiagnosed you somehow. So, and we don't care. That's all we want to hear. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, it's like one of these car shops, and they misdiagnose your engine problem, and they charge you all this money to fix it, and then you drive off, and it just basically nothing's different. So you take it back, and they're like, yeah, that didn't seem to be the problem. It's actually there was part of the problem, but it was this too, and you need to get that fixed. And so, they're just taking money from you.
Yeah.
They don't really care.
Yeah, I think so too. I can't imagine. It's hard for me, and as people that love God, to imagine that there's actually people that would like really act like they care, and then just progress you into the grave. For I think the average, treatment therapies today are like $400,000. I think that's the average. A bag of chemo, I believe, is like $85,000 now, and that's not the experimental stuff that they pull out after they say, "Well, this isn't working. Let's try this." So it's like incredibly expensive, and it's hard for me to sort of even imagine the morale part of it. So I'm wondering if they just don't know or what. I just don't know. But it's bad, and it's like it's what Fleming talked about, and that's all I've seen for 20 years. And so what's coming for you listeners is like profound.
Yeah. So I just did a big
when I can show it.
Yeah. Wait, where you pull that up. I just did a big I bought a bunch of products. I like to buy a bunch so I get a nice discount, and it's been over 500. But we were missing the honey because we've been traveling. We didn't get it before we moved, so we haven't had the honey for a while, and it's like, oh, I can't wait to get that honey again. So that's gonna be good. And I ran out of beets and all kinds of stuff, and Intuitive One. So it's going to be nice to get stocked back up again.
I just talked to Tracy yesterday, and so your honey and stuff is on its way today.
Oh, God.
And now I don't think it'll take very long for it to get to you.
We're like real close, I hope. So,
yeah.
Because we have someone that has seems like they have some infection in the mouth. He told us like the Daniel, my son-in-law, he told us like yesterday is like, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
Like, wow. So
Yeah.
the teeth infection guy is real.
It's
And
so
you know,
real.
we're doing everything we can to like clean them up, and you know, he's using a lot of patches that's helped a lot of people, but the ultimately you have to get that fixed. You know, you can't keep playing a game.
Yeah.
You can for a while, but eventually it's going to catch up to you. So like you're doing the scan on him. We're going to find out, you know, where the infection is, and there's a great dentist close to where we are, and he's your guy. Because a lot of dentists I know, you'll say, okay, you need to go and get the pus out of this tooth, and they're like, there's nothing wrong with that tooth, just do it. And then they just do it, and they're like, how do you know that?
Yeah. Yeah. We've seen that actually, you know, in the beginning, before the dentist started getting to know us, because this is really, you know, like, are you kidding me? This guy shows up and says, hey, we biophotonically tested this tooth and it's like, it's bad. And they look at it and they x-ray it or they CAT scan it. They don't see anything. They might even do like a red dye scan. It's like, well, I don't even see a leak. And we're like, no, this thing's really bad. And he, you know, they were saying over time, a lot of times they would send it back and say, no, we're not touching that tooth. And and then we'll teach everybody how to talk to the dentist, because there's a couple ways, there's just a couple keywords that you talk about it. And if you use them, they don't have a choice. So then they'll intervene, and 100% of the time they'd be like, oh my goodness, how, there's no way. How did you find pus would come out? And a lot of times pure, this is what horrified me, not just pus, but with pure black mold coming out of a tooth or a crown, just horrible.
Wow.
So we can't, I tell people all the time, so a lot of these biofilms are maybe the size of half a grain of rice, you guys. And it's so pathogenic, and they can't see them. They can only see maybe years later the results of them, which would be a shade in the bone or something like that. They might see a little fracture, but they still can't see the biofilm. And so they'll say, you know, then finally when they open it up, it took us, you know, a couple years to train these dentists to where they're finally like, all right, whatever this guy says, it's like 100% accurate. And so it became really exciting, and they loved us. And so we want to develop this with you guys nationwide, where we're going to help show you how to get your dentist trained, and we're going to teach you about what to do, what technologies to talk about. Very simple, doesn't have to be that complicated.
Oh, cool.
We're going to show you all this stuff so you can then progress through your own health, get your health back, and then train a dentist. And we want maybe even you guys to be able to get some discounts in your dentistry and things like that in the future. We want a nationwide network of dentists that kind of understand this.
Yeah,
that's kind of my dream. We've done it on a local level, and now like it works so well, we want to see it, you know, nationwide. And like this is a great way to do it through you.
Yeah,
you're already loving the health thing.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to, because we have a mutual friend that came up from Arizona, and he had to do an ambulance ride to the hospital because he had problems with the heart, and they went in, they couldn't find anything, and then he went up and visited you, and he had 2 teeth that were like really bad, and they were leaking into his bloodstream, and that's what the problem was. So you helped him out. He got a lot of stuff from the store, Intuitive Wellness Products, and he's a new man. You know, he doesn't have any problems anymore. But yeah, I see people in the chat. A lot of people have, you know, they talk about doctors misdiagnosing. It's a common thing. Yeah. And one of the, you've even brought it up. One of the number one things that's a killer is going to the hospital in America. Number one.
Yep.
Number one place to die is going to the hospital. So we have to fix that. I know you're doing that. I don't know at what point you may go live with your practice. I know you've kept it low key, and that's good. But if you ever did, you'd be like overwhelmed. So it would be kind of good to, start to develop this around the country.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're working on. And we're going to just open it up to your listeners to start with. Only the Intuitive Wellness crowd and all of Michael Jaco's listeners. So I'm really excited about that because it's like, wow, I love being able to bring this into with welcome arms. Because a lot of times people are like, I don't know, this is sketchy, but it's like, this is so beautiful. And we're so excited to be able to offer this. Michael Jaco's listeners first. And I've actually had
Absolutely.
half a dozen emails just in the last 3 days. I think I'm dying from my mouth. Help us. So you guys
we've been talking about it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
People
Just in a few days, you guys will be able to apply, get in, you'll get called, and we'll get you connected, and you'll be able to get scanned right from your house. And so it's almost done, and I just have to run it past Michael first, and then you guys will get it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next week we're gonna do oral scans online. So you don't want to miss that one.
Yeah.
Although, this is probably one of the things everybody in America should watch, this show that we do. It gets fairly good views. But as far as like the content of, helping people, it's like a lot of stuff that I do and share. I'm like, everybody should know this. It's like, but it doesn't get out there. What do you think the stop is for people to get this information and other information that could measurably enhance their lives and the lives of everybody around them?
Well, there's a saying about the truth tellers become the enemy at first.
Yeah.
And then over time, when they finally overcome, then they become the leaders. And I think that's what you are. I think that's what I'm hoping. That's what I am. We're actually the leaders. The truth tellers starting out are really ridiculed in the beginning. But we've got enough water under our belt. We've got enough experience that we don't miss one tooth. We can't, we see it all the time. And that's the beauty of these energy eyes. So I guess I would say, you guys, my question to everybody is, I'm going to tell this quick story again. I know I've told it before. So we got this old guy. He's like 83, still golfs, takes care. This guy's like, with his money and his life, he's taking care of 2 or 3 people, literally health wise and golfing and stuff. He goes over to his brothers, who's like 6 years younger than him. And his brother's in a wheelchair with a table with like 30 pharmaceutical drugs. And his brother makes fun of him for taking supplements. And it's like, he just goes, this is not possible, this level of brain damage. He's like, I'm golfing. I'm still supporting people financially at 80. I'm like doing, I date women, and my brother sits in a wheelchair, watches TV, and takes his 30 pharmaceuticals every day. And he's 6 years younger because he cleared his dental infections. And so this is what we're talking about. And I think, I don't know what that mentality is, but I just say, if anybody wants to get better, you're going to have to do something different. Because I say, if it's working for you at $4.5 trillion in cost, 2.5 times more cost in American medicine than all the militaries combined, if that's working for you and you're still feeling healthy, by all means, stay at it. But if it's not working, then let's do something like that Michael's doing. Let's do something different. So.
Yeah, here's a good one from Allison V. So Arthur Schopenhauer once said, all truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. And third, it is accepted as self-evident. So,
good word. Yeah. So the self-evident part is, I think we're embarking on that self-evident place where what we're doing is self-evident if someone's eyes are open and their ears are open. If they're not, then they're going to have to suffer the consequences, which are vast. The consequences are what we're seeing with our health and with our healthcare model. It's completely failed, except for the urgent care. You know, you get shot or you break a bone, they're fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah. That's undisputed,
Yeah.
outstanding.
Right.
Even in that, they're going to pump you with, antibiotics and that's going to break you down and make you susceptible to, infection actually. So that's one of the problems. Yeah. They got great, patch your bones up. I've had that done. They did an amazing job with me.
Yep.
And
Yep.
lots of other things.
Right.
But they're like we're talking about, their understanding of infection and mold and all these other things, they're like Neanderthal.
And if you guys feel like I don't recommend anybody even talk to their doctor about this stuff, but you can always ask, can you see biofilm? I'm telling you, they'll act like a judge in a bad situation. They'll just run and be quiet because they don't have an answer for you. The only time a doctor would see a biofilm, the only time is when they pulled out a catheter or some bag that you were wearing if you had your prostate removed, and they see the biofilm growing on their product, the catheter, the stent, things like that. They'll see it then, and it's the only time they can ever see it because it's hanging off the stent or the catheter. And that's that just kind of triggers a reminder in me. That's one of the problems with a lot of guys getting a prostate removed. Now they're wearing a bag for the rest of their life and they're never having an erection again. And that breaks my heart because wearing a bag, whether it's external or whether it's cath up your penis, you're a target for biofilm and your life is probably going to be so much shorter because they haven't addressed the original issue, that biofilm infection, and with its Candida, fungus, parasite, they all share DNA in the biofilm. Yeah. So this show is huge, Michael. You just launched something on the world, and we're going to take on the black hole, and it's going to be very cool.
Yeah, good. All right, it's been a great show. MichaelKJaco.com, the Intuitive Wellness line. Click on that, and then lots of great products. Look at the description box. That's where you buy those products, you get these discounts, or you get this, or you get that. If there's a certain area where you need, that you need help, or you want to make sure you're super healthy, look in those areas and get those products and discounts through all this stuff. So great way to get in and get this information. And we've talked about lots, and there's videos at the end. And of course, we're going to be doing some events here on the West Coast of America and Las Vegas and all that kind of stuff. And you'll see us at those events, our group, Denise, LifeWave, all this stuff. So just stay tuned. We'll be doing events in the future here, probably not too distant in the future, and look forward to seeing you guys in person sometime. So
that'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, guys. Lots of love. Stay in the love vibration, and we'll see you guys next time. Every Wednesday, same time, same bat channel.
Love y'all.